And I noticed Martin and Sean Pearson have signed up for both things. Is there a way to consolidate it?
Yeah, to 6 minutes.
Yes.
I mean, he's allowed to speak for both items, so.
Okay. Do you want to speak to both of them now?
Sure, but I'm not.
Or do you want to do them
Whoever's
separate?
up first, and then I'll take my shot, but sure, I'm glad we can do math.
I'll just go 6 minutes then. That's
Okay,
up
you'll
to
just
decide.
restart the time?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So,
You want me to play first?
sure.
Sure, why not? All right, well, okay, we all know who I am. The public notice meeting, it says 2 items, each item 3 minutes, so 3 and 3 is 6 last time I looked.
You said you could have 6.
And I'm going to take it all. Not sure that you have the moral right to give away in perpetuity land or anything else for that matter when 3 of you are beyond the term to which you were originally elected in the first place. Let's be frank. The bond validation that nice lady was talking about there isn't quite the slam dunk that everybody's telling you it is. And to be clear to the public, this is an income bond that you're trying to borrow. You can't borrow an income bond that is losing money on its face. That's why the validation won't work, and that's why the legal challenges will work. That's why it ain't going to happen anyway. We're also absolutely, you talk about cart before the horse. I think the mayor was absolutely right there. I don't know how you can have one conversation before you have the other conversation. And this idea that there's this sudden rush to put a shovel in the ground next April, on what basis? Of course, it's been there since what? The 20s? What was the sudden burning urgency to blast through the money other than, there's not a hope in hell of doing it once I get elected? So, Mayor mentioned something else about a TIF. We do know what a TIF is, right? TIF is more tax. I know that you know. I just want to make sure everybody else knows. And let's talk about fantasy math from the Vice Mayor. Has no place on the City Commission. You can have your own opinions, but not your own set of facts. 15 to 20% plucked out of the air doesn't work like that. You'd know that if you'd ever run an actual business. Ask the Meadows, who are in financial trouble.
Speak to the issue.
It is an issue. It is an issue. We shouldn't be proffering stuff as possible when it's not possible. The Plantation golf course got into financial trouble. Even Laurel Oak, a high-end golf course locally, in tremendous trouble. So ask them how likely 15 to 20% extra income is and come back and tell us all. I asked for the July figures last week for Bobby Jones, but I didn't get them because they don't want the public to know just how much of our shirt they lost last month. My guess is they lost the whole nut. I bet they lost 100 grand last month, but it ain't your 100 grand, it's my 100 grand, it's his 100 grand, it's his 100 grand. Coming back to the original point. When I took up golf in the early 1980s, I was part of a new generation who wanted to experience the joys of leisure time in park-like settings. I wasn't alone to the extent that we actually purchased balls with hollows in them that took fluorescent sticks so we could tee off before first light. So popular was the game, and so limited were the available facilities. Demand for tee times in those days far exceeded supply for years until more courses were developed. By the end of the 1990s, the supply had met demand, and competition for players replaced competition for the few available tee times. At around the same time, golf started to see, contrary to what they wanted to believe, a decline in overall rounds played as people found it too time consuming and gave it up for other leisure pursuits. Golf in Florida is, as we know, largely seasonal, and the trends for purchasing tee times have changed to the extent that there are many websites devoted to finding options based on not just availability, but price too. The blessing of the internet is information, but for many, the blessing of being able to compare costs is also its curse, as it trains consumers to be more price sensitive or conscious than they were 20 years ago. The days of take it or leave it pricing are over, as is the notion that you can charge more than your competitors and not see a consequential drop in volume. Math 101, Business 101. The idea that Bobby Jones can increase its revenue per round by 35% while increasing rounds played by a similar percentage is pure fantasy. The choices before you are simply one of scale of losses for taxpayers and degree of indebtedness you'd be placing on future generations of Sarasota taxpayers. At the top end, it's $20 million, quite possibly a lot more, and losses that exceed $900,000 a year, down to options that cut the debt but leave losses still that run into over $700,000 a year, which is obviously still rock or hard place territory. There's another option, which is to ask for proposals from private companies to lease the facility out, keeping the public debt to zero and losses to zero. In a month, when the city told its police department that it can't afford a 3% increase for those that risk their lives every day, it's very hard to accept that you'd even consider losing $900,000 every year on a golf course and saddling us with $20 million in debt. We can't have everything. We have to prioritize between desperately needed infrastructure investment, affordable housing, homeless issues, public safety. Golf, much as I like it, doesn't come close to making the list of things that we should be prioritizing to spend taxpayers' money on. Lease it out or leave it as it is, but for the love of God and whatever common sense you have, don't put $20 million into Bobby Jones.